Okay, welcome. This is the You Matter Show podcast. I'm Mark Bradinsky, host of the You Matter Show, where we believe everybody matters because the deepest principle of human nature is the craving to be appreciated. It's not a wish or desire, it's actually a craving. It's built into our DNA. It's more important to us than sex or money. And everybody wants to believe that they're valued and appreciated and that they matter. So we do this a couple times a month, inviting guests on to talk about their story because everyone has a story and every story matters. And your struggle will be your gift that the world will fall in love with. So we want to hear about you and what you've been through to teach us because your scars benefit all of us. And today I'm more than excited to welcome in someone I just met recently, Sabeena Bubber from Vancouver, Canada. Sabeena and I are in a group, Mind Power Group, and Mind Power Coaches. So it's been great getting to know her. And I thought after talking to Sabeena a little bit, I'd love to have her on the show and share her story. So welcome, Sabeena, first of all.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, we love it. So tell us a little bit about you. I know you're in the mortgage business. I know you have family. I know that you've been through some struggles in your life, but tell us a little background about you before we get into more details about your journey.
Well, let's start with the thing that's most important to me, my kids. I'm a single mom of two teenagers, ages 20 and 17. And I run a business here in Vancouver. I'm a mortgage broker, and I've been running my business for over 20 years. And I've been recognized in Canada as a woman of influence in the mortgage industry, as well as one of Canada's top mortgage brokers. And I have some passion projects that I do, which include Divorce.Mortgage, where I support women and families that are going through divorce with the resource tools that they need to navigate when they're thinking about separating or going through a divorce. As well, I have started a organization called Brokers Who Care, where brokers across Canada chip in some money every quarter, and we help families out in need who've come across some difficult times. And so far, we've given away close to $400,000 there since inception in 2016.
That's awesome. So what inspired you to start the Brokers Who Care program?
One of my friends lost her 6-year-old daughter tragically in an accident in 2016. And she was left with no means of support from her ex-husband to pay her bills, pay her rent, let alone pay the funeral costs. And some would say, oh, well, he had insurance, but unfortunately, the insurance actually went to his surviving children and not to her. So she needed help to cover those costs for her child. So I started a GoFundMe page. And when I started that GoFundMe page, I raised $7,000 from brokers across Canada who didn't even know my friend, barely knew me. And I thought, you know what, there's something here. Maybe we can help people in our communities, people that we each know as mortgage brokers and in the mortgage industry that might need help. So that's where the idea came together, and somebody helped me to set it up virtually so that we're web-based. And it's worked out quite well. We've been able to help a lot of families just using the technology and our own community.
Yeah, the world's certainly a smaller place now because of technology. And
that sure helped.
Yeah, the bottom line is people do want to help. When they hear people that are struggling, it's the first thing you think is, what can I do to be of service? So that's fantastic. And so how do you become a woman of influence? I like that title. That's
I think
in the entire country.
One of our organizations recognizes the top 50 women every year, and I've been fortunate to be on that list for a number of years. And I think it's through things that I do, like Brokers Who Care, Divorce Mortgage. I'm an industry advocate where I advocate for training of other new mortgage brokers coming into the market, and also just educating consumers and that kind of thing. And it's more than just a career for me. It's all encompassing. It's helping people, making a difference in the lives of other people. That's my motto every time I wake up in the morning.
It's a great motto to have. Making a difference is big, as you're already doing. And so divorce mortgages too, that must be a challenge when you're dealing with people that are in the throes of a life event that many people don't want to face.
Absolutely. I mean, in the financial world, often people would come to me after they have finished their separation agreement and say, okay, I'm ready to go buy a house, not realizing that how they negotiated that separation agreement might actually keep them from qualifying for a house, and that they maybe should have negotiated things differently. And once that separation agreement is signed, it's a little too late to make changes to it. So how the reason I set it up was a lot of learnings that I had through my own divorce. I had a contentious divorce. It took far too long in the end, and tens of thousands of legal fees later, we ended up signing an agreement that was ultimately what we thought it should be when we first started talking before we had lawyers. So I thought, you know what, how can I save other people from this same it's such an emotional process to go through a divorce. Especially, I was with my ex-husband. We were together for 27 years. So there was a lot of stuff to unpack, not just the finances, but the emotions. And I didn't know life without being with him. Basically, I went from my parents' house to his house, and that kind of thing. So going through things like parenting coordinators, counselors for your children, counselors for yourself to cope with it, having a divorce coach, having a financial coach, having a mortgage broker who can help guide you on, if these are your end housing goals, this is what you need to get there. So often by supporting people ahead of them actually having an agreement, it can help them to negotiate what's best for themselves, and maybe even to save some legal fees by choosing different process options. Had I known some of these process options, it might have saved me a lot of time and money.
It's amazing how, I guess it always works this way, right? When you struggle with something, you're like, and it's really hard, you go, I don't want other people to suffer like this too. And if you have the resources and the mindset, you can come up with something like you did, like the divorce mortgages, to help other people so they don't go through the same trauma that you did, maybe, or maybe it's lessened because you've already come up with a program that helps them.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I get called in to consult. I will sometimes act as an expert witness in cases for lawyers, and sometimes I will also go in and when if they're in mediation or in court, I'll get a phone call and I'll know that they're in there, and then be like, "This is what we're in the middle of doing. Will that work?" So she can get X, Y, Z, or he wants to get this. And if he wants that, will this work when it comes to the financing? So it's a big piece. And I think when we're going through the divorce, we think our lawyers know everything, but they're not. They're not accountants. They're not mortgage brokers. So it's good to have all your experts lined up, and that's what divorce mortgage does. Is it brings all the experts together.
Fantastic. You're doing good work there.
Thank you.
So I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, but I would assume that when you're going through something like divorce, there could be a battle with, especially when you've been with someone as long as you were with your husband, battling things like self-worth. I mean, this is the You Matter Show podcast. Was there a time going through that process that you felt like you didn't matter?
Very much so. Very much so. And even after the divorce was complete, the inner dialogue continued. And as well, when it came to handling the children, because of course our children were a lot younger then, and handling the children and having our relationship splash up against the children and how they're affected by the contentious relationship that continued between us. It really did affect how I felt, and how I felt in terms of whether I even mattered in any of it. So yeah, very, very much so.
And so you're in that place. And how do you get to a different place where you believe that you do matter after all those things happen?
Well, you focus on what you want instead of that. I did have to do some releasing. I had to release that. I've actually, through the coaching that we've done together, I've released that. I've had to release that, I think 3 or 4 times. And this last time, now that my kids are older, the release was full circle in terms of letting go of that, not feeling like I matter. And to be honest, like the last time that I spoke to my ex-husband was when I told him that I had breast cancer, and then I never heard from him again. So feeling about do you matter? That's going to leave a bit of a mark when somebody that you spent 27 years of your life with doesn't actually check in to say, hey, do you guys need a meal, or do you need anything? Can I help out in any way? Yeah, I sure don't feel like you matter when the people you think will show up in times of crisis actually don't. And not just ex-husbands, but sometimes friends too. So that in itself can create that feeling of not mattering. But at the end of the day, when you release it, you realize those aren't your people. And I matter. and I know I matter, and I'm spending time with people who also know I matter and make me feel like I matter. So releasing it and creating a new life with new people that I'm surrounded with, and finding those people is actually easier than you think it is. And when you show up the way you want to be seen, it's a lot easier to find those people.
And you really don't need that many, right? You need 4 or 5 people, your so closest associations, because you're going to be the product of the 4 or 5 people you spend the most time with. So finding the right people to surround yourself with, a close knit group of people that you can rely on and trust, definitely plays into that. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
in a similar situation, and so it's really the people that are your left and right, in front of you and behind you in that circle or square, that can really be the most supportive and help bring you back to center. And like you talked about, also releasing, right? We in our mind power coaching business it's called running parachutes. So you got to release those running parachutes to be able to move forward and crush those limiting beliefs and self-worth doubts that every human being has, and at different times in our lives it's more prevalent than others.
Yeah, absolutely. The limiting beliefs, they can keep coming up, but as long as you continue to address them and release them, you can continue to grow. And I'm doing the breakthrough now for the third time. And when I started taking it, I was like, "Do I really need this? I've done this twice already. I think I've already cut those running parachutes." And then, as it turns out, that there was a lot there that I didn't realize that still needed to be addressed. And even feeling like I didn't matter when I was sick, that was a tough one. So releasing all of that and going forward, I feel like a whole new person. And I really do. I show up every day differently than I ever did before, and it's pretty exciting. It's a great feeling.
It is. We're all transforming all the time. We just tend to sometimes not dive into that. And like you said, you have to address the situation. You can't run away from it, right? You can't be
No,
a cow. You have to be a bull. Cows run away from the storm. Bulls run right into them, and it actually shortens the time of trauma because you're going through the storm. And on the other side of that is almost always something beautiful. Just like they said, when one door opened and another door closed. I'm sorry, when one door closed, another door opens. It's usually a better door you're walking through than the one that you close behind you, because you're a new person going into it.
one of the ways that I put it is that if you don't want to have the same, if you want things to be different in your life, you can't show up every day the same way you always did. So you have to release those and kind of break the habit of being yourself, and break those routines that take you back into that place of limiting belief, believing you're not good enough, those kind of things. So if you even once you release it, you just have to create those new patterns, create the new, I guess, the new um, pathways in your brain and in your body, that you're creating a new self. And by doing that, you are creating the person you want to be, the people you want to be around. They automatically come into your life. You're taking action to step into that new habit, those new habits, those new environments that you want to create for yourself.
You're attracting what you want and shedding the things you don't want. So you actually referenced some of my favorite lines from Jim Rohn, which is, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you
Yeah,
want things to get better, you have to get better. If you want to have
absolutely.
more, you must become more. And so those are things, and then you attract those things that you want into your life. So it's like, what do I want instead, right? I don't want to be that person I was before. What can I do to become the person I do want to be, that it will attract the right people into my life? And it takes work. You just can't sit around in a corner and just expect, muttering manifestations and affirmations that it's just going to happen. It doesn't hurt to visualize, but at the same time, you've got to step up and do something about it, because doing nothing leads to nothing. It's a law of
Yeah,
the
you have
universe.
to do the thing, right? Do the thing that creates that. You have to take action. Attraction is not enough, and that's where some of the philosophies, where it's the law of attraction, and I've heard it from a few people. Well, it's like, oh, I'm going to attract this into my life, and it's like, well, what are you doing to bring that in? And we can't just attract something; we have to create it too, and it's the two together that brings that together. Because if I'm like, say for, this is maybe not the best example, but I'm a single woman, so I'm sitting here wanting to attract my future mate. Well, if I'm sitting at home, I work at home, I'm staying home in the evenings, I'm not going out and doing anything like dating apps, or going out to socials and meeting other people. How am I actually going to meet that person? Sitting here and focusing on attracting it isn't going to create it.
But maybe doing a podcast will attract some attention as well. You never know.
Maybe.
But let's talk about you dropped the mention there about you went through a sickness, and you said when you told your ex-husband that you had breast cancer, you never even heard from him again. So tell us about that journey. We're just coming out of Breast Cancer Month, which was last month, and it's not like 1 month is breast cancer, but it's all year long. It's it's many years here, and so it never ends. How did you find out? How did you handle it, and how did you get to the other side? Because I think it could help a lot of women who are actually dealing with it or have dealt with it to just be stronger.
So I do not have a history of breast cancer in my family. There's actually no history of cancer in my family whatsoever. My mom was getting regular mammograms because a long time ago, she found a lump and it was dense material, and that was the end of it. But she said to me, maybe you should go in the screening program because that's an option. And my GP at the time, I think I was 40. I'm in my 50s now, early 50s, very early 50s. She said,
I would have said 40s.
get into it in my 40s. So I've been we have a screening program where you go once every 2 years, I think it is, and have a mammogram. And so I was in the screening program. I got my notification and got my thing in the mail saying register for your appointment. And usually the appointments take a few weeks to get an appointment. And interestingly, I logged on and obviously somebody had canceled the appointment for the next day. And I was like, usually it also takes me a couple weeks to get my calendar synced that I can take off to take an appointment. And it just so happened the stars aligned. I was in there getting a mammogram the next day. A few days later, I got a call from my GP and the process starts. We saw something. So then it's second mammogram, ultrasound, then another appointment, MRI. Yeah, there's something there. And then biopsy, went in for one biopsy, ended up having 3. And honestly, I walked out of there after having 3 biopsies and I'm like, it's not me. This is not my story. That's not going to be me. And so when my doctor called me to tell me I had breast cancer, she was like, Sabeena, you're taking this really well. And I think inside I was in complete denial that this was even happening to me. And so I'm like, yeah, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to deal with it. So I'm going to hit it head on, tell me what I have to do. So she, made the phone calls, got me started with got me the appointment with the surgeon. And then she's like, you're probably going to need to have a double mastectomy because you've got an invasive form of cancer. And when I heard invasive and double mastectomy, I was like, there's got to be something I can do. So I called on all my people I know in the health field. And when I say health field, I don't mean medical field. I mean people in the alternative health, in hypnosis, in meditation, in vitamins, everything, you name it. I did all my research in a very short period of time. Reached out to the people I trust, and I didn't know what was going to work. So I did everything I could do in the 6 weeks before my surgery. So when I was diagnosed, I was stage 2 with a 3-centimeter mass. And I said, how do I avoid chemotherapy? Because I was so afraid of losing my hair. Yeah. Ironically, breast cancer is the one where the drugs they give you, you can't avoid losing your hair, which is so hard because for women, our hair is so important to us. So I was fighting to keep my hair. And I went through the process of just learning, doing everything I could. I tried, dietary stuff. I was doing a ton of vitamins. I have no idea what worked. But when I got to my surgery and I had my surgery, I didn't get a double mastectomy, by the way. I opted for a lumpectomy. They couldn't find the lump even to the touch. So had I not had the mammogram, I could have been much further along in terms of stage 3 or stage 4 before it was detected manually. So having that mammogram truly did save my life. After my surgery, it went off for the tests and it came back and they said, yeah, it was HER2 positive and your cancer was 18 millimeters. So we're dialing you back to stage 1. And so then my treatment protocol changed after that. So I wasn't needing as much chemo. I still had to go for chemo and not as much radiation. But in the end, I took control of my health and I made some changes. And I can't necessarily, like I said before, I did so much that I don't know what worked, but something worked. And I've been continuing some of those health paths since.
Good. I mean, Matt, you just proved one point, which is mammograms are so important,
Yes,
regardless whether you have
100%.
family history or not. It's 1 in 8. I mean, I've been through it with women in my life, so it's 1 in 8, and family history, hereditary genetics doesn't always play a part in all of this. It can happen to, unfortunately, almost any woman. But you went through what you needed to do, and then come to find out on the other side, it's a little bit better than you thought. You still lost your hair, right?
I did. I did. And I have the wig. I think I wore it 3 times because we had a hot, hot summer. And putting the wig on was just so uncomfortable and having it stick to my face. And so I would do it if I had to work or anything along those lines. If I had to do a call, and I had people that I knew. I don't remember, our company had a call, and I decided to hop on, and I wore my wig, and everybody's like, "Oh, your hair looks so amazing." So I hadn't told anybody. I'd really kept it to myself, because even though I was in recovery, I didn't want my clients, because I am self-employed, to think that my business wasn't still running. So I had people running my business, but I didn't want my clients to think if I wasn't there that the business still wasn't running, and that they should go somewhere else. So that was the only thing. And another good reason why insurance is so important, because my disability insurance really helped me during that time period not to worry financially. And I can't apply for life insurance anymore. So yeah, it's one of those things that you can't buy when you need it. So I'm a huge advocate of it because it truly did save me through the difficult times.
Yeah, I mean, my other vocation is health insurance. So yeah, insurance, no matter what it is mitigation of risk.
It
So if
is.
you're just trying to get a company to step in and pay for the bills you can't afford to. Like I always tell clients, like it's not the $100 doctor visit, it's the $100,000 event you never saw coming, because things that have never happened before happen all the time. So
They
sometimes,
happen to other people. They can easily happen to you.
correct. No
Yeah.
one lives in a bubble here. So yeah, anything can go on, good and bad. So let's talk about some of the good things. You got the business back up and running. You came back from cancer, and what is life like now for Sabeena? You've been working on the mind power breakthrough and coaching. And so what's your purpose here? What's your why? What do you want to do moving forward?
So when I was sick, instead of focusing on being sick, I had time to reflect. So I had time to think about, I'd been fighting in my divorce. I'd been fighting for freedom. I'd been fighting for so many things, fighting to keep my business afloat while everything was going. And, single, self-employed mom, I've got a lot of hats to carry. So trying to keep my business strong while even before I was sick was so important to me because I needed to support my family. So doing all those things, I think that led to a lot of stress, and it could be a factor in why I got sick in the first place. Because as women, we push ourselves until we can't push anymore. So during that time while I was sick, I was thinking about, what do I want instead of this? And it was basically bigger, but easier. And so it doesn't mean that I want to do less business. I just want it to be easier. And I want to have, balance being a very controversial word. I want to have my life be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not balanced, but be able to do all the things I want to do. I want to be able to focus on my spirituality, focus on my kids, focus on my business, focus on my family, and also travel and do the things that I want to do. And in the last 12 months, since I actually have, it's been less than 12 months since I finished treatment, but since I finished the hard stuff, I have achieved a lot of that. And it's exciting to see what I'm capable of doing and still see my business thrive at the same time.
That's great. So you're going after it, right? Like you talked about earlier, you do
Totally.
the thing, you have the power. And so it's about freedom and choices.
Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
got to keep the business going to earn money, to be able to do the things you want to do, and be able to tap in, like you said, spirituality. How do you, what do you do for spirituality? What's your focus?
Well, I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. So I I do meditation and just connecting to my higher self and learning about breath work and various other things like that. But definitely taking time every day to be grateful, think about what it is that I'm trying to achieve, because if we lose sight of our goals, we may not achieve them. And also to take time to just calm my brain and be be in tune with my body and my emotions and everything like that. I find that if I get a little off center in terms of my alignment, that it's easier to come back into alignment if I'm more in tune with what's going on. So I found that meditation has really helped me with that.
It's great. Yeah, focusing on yourself is one of the best things you can do. People think that self-care is selfish, but it's not. It's selfless because, like we
Oh, so
talked
much.
earlier, I mean,
You know what?
go ahead.
So we're having two teenagers.
Mhm.
There's a lot that's coming at me. Running a business, there's a lot coming at me, and I've got friends who need me, family who need me, that kind of thing. I've noticed that since I've been more focused on my own self-care, which I no longer have to apologize for, which before I was sick, I felt I needed to apologize. And now nobody asks for an apology because they want me to be here. So that self care is important. But even they have said, you're a different person. My kids have said, wow, you would have reacted to that. The old mom would have reacted to that a lot differently than the current mom. And we like this version of you. So you can just take a deep breath and be like, okay, if this is not what I want for even from this other person that I'm standing across from, if this is not what I want, what do I want instead of what's going on? And how does my response affect the outcome rather than just reacting? So those are all things that being connected with myself and taking care of myself first has allowed me to do.
If you want to have more, you must become more. There's no
Yep.
secret to it. So it's working on you to become a better person, to attract the things into your life that you want. It sounds like you're doing all those things. So now at this point in your life, Sabeena, with the things you've been through, at least recently, do you believe that you matter?
I do believe that I matter. Yes, I do.
Good. And what would you say to someone who's struggling with self-worth, as everyone does at some point in their lives? What would you say to the person that right now believes that they don't have a purpose, that they don't think that they matter? What would your message be to someone like that?
You have to do the work to get yourself out of that space. And if you don't feel like you matter, you really have to shift that mindset. And the work that we've done, cutting the running parachutes, um, managing our limiting, really not managing, but releasing our limiting beliefs altogether has allowed me to put that in the past and look towards my future. And I feel the same, that if somebody really wants to release that, some people don't even realize they have that inner voice and they have that limit. But when they can't figure out why they're not achieving their goals, that's your answer. Is there is some sort of limiting belief in there that's keeping you from achieving what you really want.
And we can credit Steph and Shay, who run the Mind Power program, for helping us with those things, right?
Yeah,
We should give credit where credit's due. So they're the
absolutely.
ones that created the program. And that's why we met, right? Through that Mind Power breakthrough. So
Yes.
it's a pleasure getting to know you. Appreciate everything that you've done and accomplished. And again, I love the Woman of Influence. I think it's a great title. Should
Thank
put
you.
that on the screen there, right? Yeah. So what's up next? I know that you're looking for love, but what else do you want to accomplish here in the near future?
I want to continue to grow my business. I do hope that someday that I will. I haven't started the action on this yet, but I would like to implement some sort of coaching into my life when I hit my later years, and I don't know that I'll ever truly be able to retire, but when I'm ready to retire from the mortgage business, I might still want to continue as a coach. So I'm starting to do the work so that I can take the action when the time is right for that. So I haven't determined in what capacity or who I'm going to coach. I think it's going to be beyond the mortgage industry. People in the mortgage industry will be, of course, good candidates since I've built myself up in the mortgage industry, but I think there's a lot of entrepreneurial women, divorcing women, lots of even men that I can help through their careers and to get to the next level.
Well, you've already coached a lot of people through issues that they're having just by the programs you've created, the ones that you're giving back on, the one that you designed with the divorce mortgages. So in reality, you're coaching a lot of people and you don't even realize it, right? You're making an impact.
Thank you.
And it's not difficult to do that if you're willing to have a giving heart. So I can see that inside of you. And what would be, we'll wrap up with this. We talked about a lot of things, Sabeena. What would be the one message? If you had one thing to share with everybody, either about you or how you want to be remembered or what you bring to the world, what would that one thing be?
That I really made a difference in their lives. So whoever's life, whoever I touch, whoever I've met, whoever I've had interactions with, and some that I haven't had interactions with, that I've made a positive difference in their life. At the end of the day, I can't take my business with me to my grave. I can't take my money with me. I can't take anything with me, but all I can take is who's going to be there with me at my bedside and who's going to miss me while I'm gone, so to speak, because of the impact that I made. So that's what's most important to me, is making that impact.
It's beautiful, making an impact, leaving a legacy, and sharing yourself with the people that you love and creating other human beings as you've done with your children, and making sure that they're well taken care of and leading by example, because we all know, I have kids too, that they're not listening to what it is that you're saying, but they're watching.
They're watching.
They're
Yeah.
watching. They're watching your every move, and they're judging, and they're also learning. So it's important. It's not just what you say, it's what you do. Like you said, you got to do the thing. You'll have the power. And so you've done a lot of things, and you've made differences, and you've come back from struggles, and that's what they'll see. And like you said, now they like the new person. So it's respect for who you've become in the process. And it continues, because it's not over till they're tossing dirt on us, right? That's when it's over. I don't believe in retirement, right? It's like, when you can't see anymore because the dirt's coming in your eyes. Well, hopefully you're not awake, but that's when the game is over. And so until the game is over, you keep playing at the highest level you can to try to make the biggest impact you can, right?
Absolutely. And I feel like I'm only just halfway there. I still have so much impact I can still make. And so it's always keeping my mind open about different ways that I can make an impact. I made an impact with divorce mortgage, with brokers who care. And I think that at some point I'll figure out how to make an impact with my cancer journey, with the things that I've learned along the way. And I've noticed, even just through social media and stuff like that, I see platforms and people asking for help with, say, cancer or even menopause, which of course, as a cancer survivor, the first thing they do is push you into menopause when you have breast cancer. So even some of the things that I've learned through that, I'm doing my best to help educate people. So that might be something that comes up next.
We're doing a lot of good in the world. And like, I reached for the sign while you were talking, because I always keep it on my desk, right? Your struggle will be your gift that the world will fall in love with. So the struggles we all go through and the scars that we share, like I said at the top, is what help people, because people are either have experienced things like you have, or they're learning from your challenges and then recoveries and triumphs and victories and becoming a new person. Everybody wants to do the best they can with all they have been given, I hope.
Yes.
And that's what makes a better world. So I appreciate you, Sabeena, having the courage to come on here. We only met a couple of times, but you were more than willing to come on the You Matter Show podcast, and you've already made a difference. I'm sure you will, as people listen to this and watch it and, change lives. So you're already doing what it is that you think you want to do. So you're already in the midst of it. So just know that you're already making an impact. Certainly appreciate you, and I look forward to continue working together. And I'll be seeing you very soon. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Sabeena. It's been a joy. It's the You Matter Show podcast, and we will see you next time on the You Matter Show. Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah.